The bottom of our world is shrouded in a white, deathly silence. This is Antarctica, a 5 million square mile frozen desert that, according to the standard historical timeline, remained untouched by human hands until the 1820s. But recent discoveries suggest that the ice is a mask. Beneath 2 miles of shifting glaciers may lie the physical remnants of a civilization that predates the first pyramid. This possibility challenges the foundation of our history, which rests on the absolute certainty that the South Pole has always been an eternal, lifeless wasteland. The investigation begins in the year 1513 within the archives of Constantinople. An Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis completed a map of the known world. He wasn't the original explorer. He was a compiler, using source maps that he claimed dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. While the map shows the Americas with such startling precision, it contains an impossible detail, a clear rendering of the Antarctic coastline centuries before its discovery. Even more enigmatic is the terrain. Piri Reis detailed mountains, rivers, and plateaus on a continent supposedly buried under ice for millions of years. A 16th century document mapping a green, topographically diverse Antarctica violates the established rules of both geology and human history. Most researchers dismissed the map as a nautical error until a technological shift occurred in the mid-1950s. In 1958, international teams used sub-glacial seismic soundings, a method of using shock waves to see through 2 miles of ice and map the solid rock beneath. The result was unsettling. The 1958 seismic data perfectly aligned with the inland features drawn by Piri Reis over 4 centuries earlier. The accuracy of the map forces us to consider that these features were observed and charted by human hands at a time when the South Pole was ice-free. Piri Reis was an archivist. He never saw the southern coast himself. He only preserved what his ancient source materials documented. He claimed his sources dated to the era of Alexander the Great, suggesting knowledge of a green Antarctica was a relic of much older antiquity. This hints at the ghost of Tartaria, a lingering memory of a period when the South Pole was a temperate paradise rather than a frozen tomb. To accept this, we must identify a mechanism that could transform a lush, habitable landmass into a 2-mile-thick ice vault with extreme speed. Geologists refer to this theory as Earth crustal displacement. The theory suggests the Earth's outer shell can suddenly detach and slip over its inner layers. This movement would drag a temperate landmass into the polar circle and DINS, triggering an immediate catastrophic freeze. The displacement would cause global tidal waves and a plummeting drop in temperature as the land reached its new freezing latitude. This shifts our understanding of climate change from a slow, incremental process to a model of sudden, violent planetary resets. If a civilization occupied this continent during its green phase, a shift of this speed would provide no time for evacuation. Their records, cities, and technology would be instantly crushed and buried under a mountain of ice that has only thickened with time. This sudden entombment explains why this chapter of history is missing from our records, even while its echoes survived on the Piri Reis map. Today, as global temperatures rise, the Antarctic ice shelf is beginning to recede. Modern researchers are now using LiDAR and advanced satellite imagery to look through the ice for the first time since the soundings of 1958. The receding ice is providing the first clear look at a landmass that has been visually inaccessible for the entirety of recorded history. These scans have revealed anomalies buried deep beneath the surface, massive geometric structures that do not match the surrounding natural rock. The presence of sharp right angles and mounds organized into grid-like patterns eerily mimics the purposeful layout of a city. While skeptics categorize these as unusual natural formations, the Piri Reis map indicates that someone was there to see and chart the continent before the ice arrived. Antarctica remains a massive frozen archive. The evidence suggests it is not a sterile wasteland, but a ticking time capsule of a history we are only beginning to remember. In 1946, a massive American naval armada retreated from the Antarctic ice in a state of high-speed withdrawal. The public was told Operation Highjump was a peaceful mission for science and cold weather training, but the logistics suggest a combat deployment: 4,700 troops, 13 warships, and dozens of aircraft. This timeline reveals the mission's abrupt end. It was scheduled for 8 months of exploration, but the fleet withdrew after only 8 weeks. An elite post-war fleet does not abandon a mission of this scale because of bad weather. They were forced out. The man leading the fleet was Admiral Richard E. Byrd, a highly decorated naval commander and a legendary Antarctic explorer. Shortly after his return, Byrd gave an interview that broke from standard military protocol, offering a chilling description of what the fleet encountered. He warned that the United States must prepare for an enemy capable of flying from pole to pole in minutes. Byrd's testimony changed the understanding of the mission. His words replaced the idea of a training failure with the reality of an encounter with an advanced, superior technology. To understand why the U.S. sent a combat fleet to the ice, we have to look at intelligence reports gathered during the war. The Nazi high command was obsessed with occult mythologies and the search for ancient hidden powers located in the remote corners of the world. Allied intelligence tracked rumors of a hidden stronghold in New Swabia, a region of Antarctica the Nazis called Base 211. These reports described vast geothermally heated ice caves where the Germans allegedly believed a hidden empire could be sustained. This search for ancient power leads to the central mystery of the mission. Did the Nazis build a bunker, or did they find technology from a vanished civilization that is thousands of years ahead of our own? In 1946, the Highjump fleet arrived at these jagged peaks, searching for the rumored entrance to the subterranean base. The search quickly became a fierce conflict, as the massive U.S. armada was intercepted by an unknown, hostile force. Reports from the scene described flying discs and strange lights in the sky that moved at speeds far exceeding our own aircraft. The mission matched mid-century propeller planes against technology that appeared thousands of years more advanced. The fleet's 8-week retreat wasn't a tactical choice. It was a panicked flight from a force they could not defeat. When the fleet returned, the operation was ended without public fanfare or a formal debrief. Following this silence, the geopolitical status of Antarctica was altered, and the continent was cordoned off from the rest of the world. International treaties were implemented to turn the continent into a global no-fly zone. While the official reason given today is environmental preservation, the timing and the scale of this isolation suggest a much darker purpose. These ice shelves act as a physical barrier. They are the walls of a continent-sized vault. The governments of the world aren't protecting the ice. Following the defeat of Highjump, they established a global quarantine to protect the world from the power that Byrd encountered beneath it. Surveys describe Antarctica as a lifeless expanse of ice, 5 million square miles of frozen desert, where the temperature can drop low enough to shatter steel. Yet, the private logs of Admiral Byrd and a series of maps predating the continent's official discovery suggest this landmass once supported a complex pre-glacial society. Satellite imagery has recently identified miles-long geometric walls and perfectly symmetrical structures protruding directly through the glacial sheets. At the surface, life is biologically impossible. The wind and sub-zero extremes prevent any sustainable habitation, leaving researchers to wonder how such massive shapes could have been engineered in this environment. One hypothesis suggests these surface anomalies are merely the uppermost sections of a vast network buried 2 miles below the ice. Treating the continent as a sealed vault rather than a barren waste changes how we interpret these anomalies, pointing toward a world preserved deep within the bedrock. Reaching that world requires descending through 2 miles of solid ice, moving from the frozen surface toward a hidden geography. Hidden beneath the ice cap are hundreds of sub-glacial lakes, some spanning thousands of miles across the continent's base. These lakes are a proven reality. In 2012, a Russian expedition team at Vostok Station successfully drilled down 3,700 meters to reach the liquid water trapped beneath the sheet. These lakes are surrounded by a natural geothermal heating system where warmth from the Earth's crust creates large habitable cavities in the ice. While the surface is battered by hurricane-force blizzards, these subterranean pockets maintain a stable, temperate climate. This natural geothermal oasis provided the necessary environment for a large-scale urban infrastructure to survive in the planet's most hostile region. The inhabitants of this world moved beyond natural caves, engineering massive habitats designed to span the continent. They utilized geodesic domes to distribute the immense pressure of the 2-mile ice sheet pressing down from above. These domes were constructed from exotic materials, including crystalline stone and metals that do not correspond to any known elements found in our modern world. Inside, the atmosphere was artificially regulated to maintain a constant, spring-like climate regardless of the conditions on the surface. Since sunlight could not penetrate the ice, bioluminescent systems were installed to provide the light necessary for both agriculture and human biology. These glowing structures were sophisticated examples of terraforming, creating a self-contained world entirely isolated from the natural environment. Powering a terraformed city buried under 2 miles of ice requires a massive, consistent energy supply, far more than fossil fuels or surface-level solar could provide. Evidence of their power source may be visible in peaks like this one. The sharply symmetrical geometry suggests an artificial pyramid rather than a natural mountain formation. Researchers connect these structures to the concept of zero-point energy, a method of drawing power from the environment itself. These pyramids functioned as massive transmitters, pulling energy directly from the Earth's magnetic field. This energy was then distributed through a wireless grid, passing down through the ice to power the bioluminescent domes and climate systems below. Mastery over this infinite energy loop allowed the civilization to thrive indefinitely, independent of the external ecosystem. This stable energy loop was eventually interrupted by a sudden shift in the Earth's planetary axis. The shift caused a flash freeze. Within minutes, the temperature across the continent plummeted, and frost crystallized over the mechanical systems, forcing an immediate shutdown. The magnetic grid failed, the domes lost their heat, and millions were entombed in the ice as the metropolis was plunged into total darkness. The geometric walls visible in satellite images today are the remnants of this mass entombment, a city preserved in the exact moment its power failed. These ruins suggest that no amount of technological mastery or energy control can fully protect a civilization from the sudden, violent movements of the planet. We live in a world of total digital visibility. Commercial satellites now map every street, alleyway, and desert plateau on Earth in high-resolution detail. But this transparency stops at the edge of the Southern Ocean. Antarctica, a continent nearly 1.5 times the size of the United States, is effectively shielded from the same level of public inspection. In 1959, the Antarctic Treaty officially designated this entire landscape as a zone for peaceful science. While it was marketed as a landmark of global cooperation, the treaty established a legal framework that prohibits unmonitored civilian activity across the ice. This physical exclusion zone is mirrored on digital maps. If you navigate to specific, high-interest coordinates, you will find massive sections of the topography are covered by solid black rectangles or intentional pixelation. The level of bureaucratic secrecy required to maintain these redactions points to a coordinated, global effort to keep this landmass under a permanent state of restricted access. That state of restriction is now failing. Our planet is warming rapidly, and the ancient ice sheets that served as a physical vault for millennia are collapsing into the sea. As the thaw accelerates, the multi-mile layers of snow that buried the continent's history are thinning, threatening to reveal the physical landscape of the bedrock below. Intelligence agencies and world powers are losing their primary defense, the ice itself. They can no longer rely on the environment to keep the continent's geographic anomalies hidden from civilian view. The melting ice has turned a manageable secret into an escalating crisis, forcing governments into a race against the planet's own changing climate. Evidence of this panic surfaced in 2016, a year marked by a series of highly irregular movements by global leadership toward the South Pole. During a busy election cycle in the United States, Secretary of State John Kerry took an unprecedented detour, flying to the Antarctic ice for what was officially described as a briefing on climate change. He was followed shortly after by Buzz Aldrin. The Apollo astronaut's visit was cut short when he suffered a sudden health crisis that required an emergency medical evacuation from the continent. Before his evacuation, a post allegedly appeared on Aldrin's official account, showing a mountain with perfect pyramid-like symmetry. The text read, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." Within minutes, the post was deleted. Deploying a lunar astronaut, a man specialized in extreme, low-oxygen environments and non-terrestrial navigation, suggests the mission required expertise beyond standard Earthbound geology. It points to an inspection of conditions that mirror the vacuum of space more than the surface of Earth. Taken together, these 2016 visits appear less like diplomatic stops and more like a desperate appraisal of a containment zone that is no longer secure. The specific area of interest is a location researchers call the Black Hole of the South, a region where our modern understanding of the continent breaks down. Data reveals massive magnetic anomalies, distortions so powerful they defy known geological models. These spikes act as a physical shield, jamming GPS signals and scrambling mapping satellites, making it impossible to see the ground below. The redactions and black boxes we see on Google Earth are not just administrative choices. They are digital attempts to mask the areas where our sensors simply cannot function. This points to a massive, high-output energy source buried under the ice, a powerful force of completely unknown origin that continues to project a violent field of interference into the atmosphere. The bureaucratic safeguards of the 1959 treaty cannot stop the physical reality of a warming ocean. As the ice walls collapse, the structures and topography that have been hidden for millennia will become visible to any civilian-owned camera in orbit, ending the era of state-managed secrets. This makes the black hole more than just a geographic anomaly. It is a gateway to a suppressed chapter of our own history that is finally re-emerging. The intelligence communities are reacting with urgency because the very foundation of their global status quo is quite literally turning into water. If a civilization is buried beneath the ice, we must accept the story of our origins likely began in that frozen landscape, rather than the places we were taught to believe. We are facing the possibility that we are not the first advanced presence on this planet, and that we may not be alone here now. The official narratives from our governments are failing. The time has come to look at the physical evidence and prepare for the truth to reach the surface. The countdown has begun. As the final layers of ice retreat, we will be forced into a total reconsideration of our history, our technology, and our place on this planet.